So today I was hoping to go over my Jinx sculpt. I just wanted to kind of go over the general things I did, not really get into specifics, saving those for another video. But yeah, let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so I started off with using my hairbrush to draw out the hair curves over a mesh I made. I did this for the November hair tutorial. If you guys want to check that out, I go into much greater detail there. So to expand upon what I talked about in the tutorial, if you have already seen it, I am basically, I get one good curve, like hair curve that I like, and then I'll duplicate it for that patch of hair. So as you can see here, I just used, for the front, it's pretty much the same shape across. While I did do two there, it'd be just because it was shorter and I didn't want to squish it too much. I usually stick with like one or two pieces for the entire head. Usually the bangs are different, and then the rest of the back of the head is the same. As you can see, for like the side part, I drew one, and then I'll use that like for the entire, like this section of the head. And you can really just be conscious and clean with this part of the process, because it can get messy really fast. And by going in patches and going, it saves you a lot of heartache, because you can you're just using the same one across the head and it looks better. So another thing when you're making patches of hair is to hide the start and the ends underneath each other or over top. Like, you kind of want to create clumps that have this overall like uniform look, and this can really help you create a cleaner hair style. You disregard this with like flyaways, but for the overall like hair shape, you kind of want to have, you know, the ends hidden and the beginnings hidden, like either in the head, or like when it's the ends, it's going to be hidden underneath each other. Because as you can see on like, even on my hair, like it's not like not individual, like there's patches and there's like units, like there's not just like every individual hair you see, like it's all like clumping, and that's what you kind of need to be mindful of when you're making hair, is if it can get messy very fast. And so you just have to remember to like step back for a second and to take in the overall silhouette of the hair, and are you like communicating that? If not, then you need to go back and like push some pieces in. You need to again like follow like the hair map that you made, so like the the hair cap, like kind of like that ugly, you know, shape I made for the front of her hair. It's important that you know, sometimes reference that, because that can help, you know, influence you on your hair placement. So to cover the face and the body, all I did was use one of my meshes that I've just tweaked basically. So when it comes to sculpting, you're given the option to kit bash and to like use what you have. You don't have to start over every time. I understand this is like a big thing with drawing, like to start over, but like in 3D, it's very flexible and very doable to just, you know, use what you have. And it is also a great strength, because sometimes you're asked to either use a base mesh to start from, and you have to be able to like use what you have. Like if your client like wants you to follow like a certain topology, and you can't like, you know, do the same one over and over, like, you know, a new one like every time, like that's not possible sometimes. So it's good to, and also it saves time. So that's what I was hoping to do here, is save time. And I just use one of my sculpts again and just edit it, and you can see me on stream just doing that. Like I'll even use the adjust color panel to edit the overall color. I don't have to like redo the color if something's wrong. I just change like the saturation to make her like paler, and and then edit different parts. So I can like mask like the lips. I can like mask like if I don't want to change like certain parts, like maybe the eye like lid color, then I'll mask that out. Then I'll change the overall skin tone to be lighter. And you can like select like different parts of the skin, so you can select the tattoos if you don't want those to change. You can select the eye color, like here I selected just to see what it would look like if when the pupil was lighter. Also I'm going in and just trying to match the features that I see in a concept, and that's important to do as well, is to have your concept, have your references, have those up. So I can go talk more later about the adjust colors panel if you guys want. I'm probably going to talk about that during the poly paint tutorial for this month. But yeah, like I said, references. I took screenshots from the show. I took the references from ArtStation by Thibaut. I made sure to have all those up on another screen, even though you can't see it here. I'll sometimes show it on stream, like, oh, this is what I'm pulling from. Like the vein specifically, I took screenshots from the show. And again, because specifically for this scene, like the lighting is green, so that's going to change the color of her skin, right? So I'm not going to color pick from those images because I know that is green, like that's going to be the wrong colors. So what I do is I kind of be like, oh, this is a blue, and then I'll draw it on the face, and then I'll so like whenever you paint with a soft brush, there's like the gradient. And I'll talk about this more later, but like I'll paint like the harsh green and then select like the outermost edge, and it'll be like that kind of like mix of skin tone, and that will be like lessen the effect of like the harsh green. So like it'll look more like how it does in the show, which is like underneath the skin. So it's not like like a tattoo, which is like like on top. It's like underneath and like under layers of like skin. So also I use mask and extract a lot. You'll see me like use it for the tears. I use this a lot for tears. Basically you just mask out like with masking, and then you extract like a very thin like layer, and it just allows you to like kind of have like a second layer, because I don't want to draw the tears directly on, because like if I decide to like get rid of them, or if I decide to do something else, I tend to just like have like a second mesh. I don't use layers. I think layers break a lot in ZBrush, and also it is a time thing. I need to kind of like not have things break first of all, and I need to be fast, so I can't like be switching between layers. I need to have everything on one layer. This can be annoying for a lot of people, but I've learned to kind of just go with the flow. Like having to like repaint things isn't really big of an issue in ZBrush because it's really fast. Again, this might not be to everyone's cup of tea, but this is like what I choose to do. So with this, and it works for me. So here I am just correcting things, moving things, and I switch between the hair too. So but besides repainting things, instead of like using the layer system in ZBrush, I'll just duplicate the subtool and then just switch between them. Really easy. Just duplicate the mesh, and then I can hide the one that's before and then just work on the one below it. And then if I'm comparing and I go back, I don't like this change, then I'll just switch between them. That's how I get around like if I make a big change, like if I don't like the freckles, like I don't want to repaint the entire like midsection of the face, I'll just like duplicate the mesh, and that's how you can get away with like undoing mistakes, or preserving like the painting features that you like. Also file versions, you could just do like one with like a lot of you could say like version 1, version 2. I use Subtool, so they're not as big as projects, so that may help you. Saving it as a Z tool instead of a project, they're a lot smaller usually. They're a lot smaller just because they don't save like the history of the mesh, like which I don't ever need, so I don't use projects. I just use eTools. Yeah, I'm just going through and matching the concept still. That is all. I'll like match like whatever outfit she has if I wanted to do a different one. I thought about doing the hood at one point, I still am, like, I really do like her, you know, haircut there. I think it is really cool. Oh, here I do it. I did it kind of off stream, but you know, it's the same kind of thing. You'll see, like, it's just, oh, you know, like masking, and then I'll just like divide it and then, you know, sculpt on top of it to get the wrinkles. But yeah, here I am just using, you know, I think I ended up, yeah, just using an IMM. It's a lot of the time it's kit bashing or using some default brush. Like I don't ever kind of use anything else. I do have like a library of brushes I've gotten over the years, but I tend to use my own or use one I have, or like use one of Z brushes ones that are in there, and I just like get really creative with it. Yeah, just be artistic and creative about like how you know use these brushes, because you know people can tell when you use them, and you know I'll you know what's the word? I'll break them. I'll break them to the point of like, you know, you see me like I stretch that like curve and I crease the like insides to match it look like the concept, where it's like, you know, hard on the inside too, like the edges. But yeah, here I am like moving the eyelids forward. Like it's just, again, it's like a slow process of like, oh, I look at the concept, I look at reference images, I look at like stuff I've gathered from the show, and I go, do I like this, or like does this look right? And then I'll just like step away. And also at the end of this, I'll show you like how I got like as close as I did, because, you know, I didn't do paint overs for this one just because I had such a good, like, you know, reference from ArtStation that I just like overlaid it. Oh, here I am. Oh yeah, it's modeler to make the buttons like they are like flatter, they're not as poofy. I don't do too much like clothing sculpting here, so it's also sometimes like, because the symmetry, the painting is not symmetrical on these models, so you break symmetry in order to like paint them. So I'll turn off X and I'll forget it sometimes that it's off, and so if I adjust the chin, even though her chin is kind of symmetrical, I'll forget that it's off, and then like have to go back a couple steps because I forgot that symmetry was off, and so now her chin's wonky. So yeah, just be mindful of that. Happens to the best of us. Yeah. Oh, the material I'm using for this, I'm using Skin Shade 4 with specular turned off. So if you go in the material panel, just turn off specular if you're using Skin Shade 4. Also use Zebra Paint. It's a free material you can find online. It's on Zebra Central, wherever. I can also link it in my Discord if you guys are on my Patreon. But yeah, here I am just like, I constantly turn around screenshots and compare it to the concept. I'm constantly like looking at my pure rev. I look, you know, it's back and forth. Like you're always looking. Like there's not a point where you don't like look at it. What I'm doing now is, again, just adjusting the features, and I'm probably gonna get a lot of flack for not starting from scratch and just using a base mesh, but at this point I don't care. I've done over 30 heads like this year. I've started a couple from scratch. I started a couple from base, you know, just the heads that I already had. I genuinely don't care what anyone thinks of me. I think it's foolish to have this preconception that you have to do everything from scratch. And also another thing that people don't really teach you is that when you see a feature as wrong, like in your head you go, oh, I think that nose needs to be pulled down, and I'll do this a lot in my head. I go, oh, this chin doesn't look right. Listen to that thought. Listen to it, and, you know, write it down and like list out the things that you think are wrong. Like when you go into the paint over, like list all the changes that you know, moved when you did in the paint over, like, and just go in and fix those. And 10 times out of 10 times it is, you know, the right move. I have never been, you know, wrong about, you know, it needing a change. I've just been too lazy to change it. So it's always go with your gut. Go with your gut as a human, as someone who understands what a face looks like. If it looks wrong to you, it probably is. I say this from the bottom of my heart. listen to your inner critic and also get other people to critique it for you. But most of the time, your eyes can be enough and be like, oh, this doesn't look right. This doesn't look like, listen to that part of yourself. And so ever since I did Anya, all I've done is basically just take the human head, because I'll start like with the human head to kind of get a study. I did this all across my Red Dead busts, and I did this where I would just like transfer like the eyes from the human one and like the eyebrows and all that stuff to the anthro, and like I would block in like a new shape using like the normal like blocking process. I can go over that later, but basically all I'm doing is just speeding that up and just like saving my, like a bit of time with like the eye shape, because like that's a lot of paint. It is a lot of paint for the arcane characters, so I didn't want to redo it, and I just used the mesh, and it worked out great, and people love it. So, and people go, oh, it looks so much like her, and I go, all I did was just save the hair and the eyes. It really is that simple. But yeah, that's what I kind of bring to the table when I make anthro characters, is like, oh, like I kind of know that the things that make a human face, look like a human face is going to help here. And also, like, you can incorporate with the snout, you can incorporate like a squish nose, or like, depending on the animal, or, it's like if it's like a longer nosed dog, you could like bend the snout of the dog to make like a hooked nose or what have you. Or you can choose an animal that's gonna, be in the range of that person's face. So it's like, oh, if it's like a smaller face, like if their nose is like slightly, button-like, then you can like choose an animal there. Do you see what I'm saying? It works out great most of the time, because unlike with human faces, anthro characters have this forgiveness of being, not in the range of uncanny valley. Like even when I was like pulling the face and like giving her a snout, like it looked horrifying for like a brief moment, then it's like, oh, and that's like, oh, it's an animal snout. But like if a micro detail looks wrong on a human face, you're gonna notice it, right? And that's why I kind of wanted to get the Jinx face like really close, is because of this, thing that we as humans are, programmed to do. So to get back to the process I'm recording on stream, I'm just, masking, extracting the ears and refining those different parts. I'm also going in and I took the hair from Daisuke just to save some time again. It's just the hairbrush, a bit flatter and stiff. It's nothing crazy. I'll just use one of them. I could have just started from scratch, but I don't know why I didn't. It's really easy. But again, it's just the kind of same process that you see in here. I'm just duplicating it, and I kind of use the same one across the entire model. I don't really create another one just because that can be noisy. And if I do make one that's in a different position, it's usually just tweaked slightly, so it'll be slightly like if the tip of the fur is like going this direction, or if the tip of the fur is going in that direction, like I'll do that. And then here I am just inserting looks like a sphere, not sphere, it's Taurus. I just inserted a sphere for the Taurus, for the earring. Oh, hi Sam. And then I just divided it and painted the highlight of the metal. Oh yeah, and for the fur, whenever you put fur on a character, like it's a mesh, usually you want to blend it using so there's the mesh and then there's the fur, and then you pull out like pieces on mask and like pull out and like sculpt like hair tufts on the face, just so you get that blend between them, and so it's not as jarring. Like it's not just something's not just sticking out of the model. It usually looks a lot better. So my light's not on. Alright, so here I am just doing the teeth for the furry version. I kind of wanted to do like a hyena snarl initially, like kind of like a grin. I didn't end up using that just because I ran out of time, but I'm still thinking about using it. I just stretched out some teeth I made previously for humans, and then just kind of started blocking in the canine shape and just matching the mouth around it. It's pretty easy to make teeth. It just takes a while and to get the right look that you want. But yeah, If you guys want me to go over teeth in another video, I can. I don't really see many people talking about teeth, and they're pretty interesting. We only see faces and hands and everything else, so teeth are really cool if you guys want me to delve into those. But yeah, here's just some B-roll. Just some extra stuff of polishing and switching between them, and you know, seeing what I like and don't like, and also tweeting. Yeah, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it.